Hello, amazing artists. It's Kelly Folsom here again, and I want to welcome you back to another Art Life Conversations podcast where we talk all things art life and art related. So, if you're a creative, if you're a painter, sculptor, if you draw, if you do watercolor, if you do pottery, if you're a musician or a writer, I mean, you can substitute anything really for these topics because I think they're universal issues for all of us creatives or something all these topics are things that we all will deal with at one point or another. And it also doesn't mean that we deal with it once and then, okay, I got that taken care of or dealt with and that's done. But the topic is really, we're in part 6 now of this topic, and that is the real reason why you're not painting or creating and what to do about it. So this part 6, the topics today is going to be around resilience. How resilient are you? If you're not creating, if you're not making art, one of the reasons could be that, you need to build up stronger resilience. Resilience for what? Or against what? I don't like to use the word against, but resilience for what? Specifically for failures and rejections, right? So, failures, basically feeling like you did not meet up to your own expectations, essentially is what I would categorize a failure to be as an artist. Or yeah, I mean, I think, is that what you got? Is that what you guys would deem a failure? That's what I would deem when I have felt like a piece that I've created has failed. I think the only reason why I say it's failed or feel like it's failed is just it didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to. And when you do that, you start to take it personally. You start to make it mean something like, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not talented enough. I don't know enough yet. But really, I mean, failure doesn't really exist as long as you're creating, but it's mostly to do with our expectations for ourselves, right? So, especially for those of us who are overachievers, high achievers, perfectionists, if you identify as any of these things, right? You are probably going to struggle quite a bit with the failure thing or with the imperfect, basically with things not matching up to where you want to be and what you want for your art, what you want your art to be like, the quality that you're seeking in your art, the level that you want to be at. So this is really a huge issue, for us artists, something for us to really build resilience around, build up our esteem, our confidence. And the only way I really know to do this is that you just keep creating, regardless if the outcome pleases you or not. And that takes a lot of resilience, because if you keep stepping up to the easel and feeling disappointed in what you're creating, you feel like a failure, perhaps, you feel less than, you feel like you're not good enough. Okay. It's difficult, it's challenging to keep putting yourself through that. And because with creativity and with art, it's like we make it so personal and so mythical. And like there's some kind of gods out there either granting us, blessings or curses kind of thing that yeah, I think we just get in a funk, like our heads just get mixed up, our ego gets involved, we get scared, to do it again. We're afraid to keep going. We're afraid to show anybody what we did, and that just takes the wind out of our sails. Now, what's the other, the first solution I would say to this is like basically to recognize that it's going to be hard and you're going to be disappointed in your results until you can get over yourself, which is what I used to say to myself. Okay, you're better than this, Kelly. Get over yourself. You got this. Keep going. Try again. Try again. It didn't take the emotions away. I still felt those emotions. I still felt disappointed. And so the emotions are not bad, right? You want to feel the emotions. Go ahead and feel them. If you are angry, you could be angry, like, hey, feeling like, oh, this should be easier than this, or it seems so much easier for everybody else. Why does it have to be so hard for me? Feel whatever those feelings are. In fact, sometimes you might need to throw a temper tantrum to process the emotions. Let the emotions kind of move through your body, right? But you have to develop resilience as an artist if you want to be a successful artist. If you want to ever get to the place that you can actually finish a painting and go, I really like that. I am really proud of myself, right? But you have to get through all of those sucky paintings first. So I used to call it the dud stage, or I used to say, gosh, you just have to embrace the suck. You just got to embrace that sucky period. I think it might be kind of like if you're going through boot camp or something, and that you're going to be sick, you're going to be in pain. From what I have heard and understand about boot camp, not that I've ever been through it, you know that it is going to be an intense struggle, especially if your body and your mind is not prepared for it. If your body and mind is not already trained, which, why would you be in boot camp if your body and mind was already trained, right? So there is like kind of this, especially in the beginning, this kind of early boot camp period, if you're a new artist, that you will go through. And, a lot of people will quit during that period. A lot of artists will quit during that time because they just don't have the resilience to suck it up enough to keep showing up at the easel. Okay, so in the early days, I would cry, I would get super angry. Monty always loves remembering this day whenever he and I were drawing at the beach. We went to the beach for drawing class 101, first year of art college. And I thought I chose a pretty simple scene to draw. I was trying to actually make it easier on myself. And that I was so unhappy with that drawing. And I just could not get the drawing to look like what I wanted it to look like in my head. Do you know what I mean? Like you've got this vision or this idea of what you would like to create, what you want it to look like. And whenever that vision in your mind's eye does not match up to the real thing, and you don't know how to bridge that gap yet, it is very frustrating. It's annoying. It pissed me off. And so I was out there we were out there for hours, sitting in the cold wind on the beach in Connecticut. And, at some point I just got so in my internal dialogue, my thoughts that were going on were like, this is stupid. Why am I doing this? this is a dumb thing to draw anyway, and this looks like crap. And, my inner critic voice was just raging and screaming and kind of like vomiting all of these ugly, nasty thoughts, all over the place in my mind. Because I had no control over that at that point in time. I had no understanding of it. I kind of thought everything I think is true. I had no idea that my ego was kind of throwing a temper tantrum internally, like, why are you putting us through this? Why are you making us suffer? I thought you wanted to make art because it's fun. Who's ever thought that or said that? That is such a statement of, it's such a sign, that thought is a sign that, you've got that part of you inside that now is going, this is too hard. I want to quit. I want to give up. I just want to have fun. I just wanted it to be joyful and easy and inspiring all the time. I just wanted this make-believe fantasy of what it's like to be an artist, and that's all I wanted. And now you're making me do all this hard stuff, and it doesn't feel good. And now I have to go back and hang up my drawing. So I was already thinking through, oh my gosh, the teacher's about to come around. She's going to give me feedback and critique. She's not going to like my drawing either. I'm not going to be able to handle whatever she says to me. Then I have to go back to the classroom and put up the drawing in front of everybody. That is going to suck. That's going to be so hard. That's going to hurt. I know what everybody's going to be thinking. They're going to be thinking that my drawing is the worst. My drawing is going to be the worst out of everybody's. Has anybody ever been there? I know you have. I know it was not just me. But I mean, and that's kind of the speed too, that in fact, probably even faster, that these thoughts and these emotions were all happening, until finally at some point I kind of spontaneously combusted with anger, and I just threw this huge, it was like an 18 by 24 drawing board. I just flung this huge drawing board across the beach, like I totally just had a meltdown and combusted. And I said, I started cursing and said, screw this is stupid, screw this drawing. And I totally forgot that anybody was around me because we were kind of spread out. And, but Monty saw me, my boyfriend, my now boyfriend, and he saw me do all of this and heard me, and he just started cracking up laughing. And then I started laughing at myself, and then I marched over, pick up my drawing board, go at it again. So it's not about like judging the thoughts or the emotions or trying to avoid that, because that is a natural part of becoming an artist. It is frustrating. It can be a struggle sometimes, and it can also be fun and a joy. And sometimes, a lot of times it can feel easy, but it's not going to be that way all the time. So what's funny is I felt so much better after I frisbeed the drawing and just kind of let off that steam and let that emotion just kind of move out of my head and out of my mouth and through my body. And then I actually felt so much lighter and so much better. And I thought, okay, we can do, all we can do is the best we can do, So then I just kind of gave myself an internal pep talk and said, it's going to be what it's going to be. I can only do what I can do. I'm doing my best. And, I'm sure I'm going to learn something from it. Right. And so that's kind of the process that we go through. Now, if you don't, give yourself that pep talk, if you don't pick yourself back up, which is really a matter of building that resilience, then yes, you're probably going to stop creating. So the next piece of this is rejections, right? So my mind immediately was going to other people then rejecting my work. The beauty of art school was that it did force you, really did force you, you had to subject your art to other people's opinions and critiques and advice. And I have to tell you, I would say probably 99% of the time that did not feel good. And I would always have this fear inside of me in those early days of like, oh my gosh, are they going to like it? What are they going to say? Oh, I'm so embarrassed. This turned out so bad. And now I have to have everybody, it's just going to make it worse because everybody's going to say everything that they think about it, you know? Um, but I didn't have a choice. That was part of the requirement of getting a degree and being a student at the school. But the rejections is the other thing. So you might, I'm sure, here's the thing, every artist is going to experience rejection. It is just going to happen. You're going to experience rejection and criticism, period. Like, not everybody is going to accept your work, like your work, praise your work. You are going to get those critical comments. You are, whenever, especially if you start putting yourself out there to try to get into shows or win awards or sell your paintings, you are going to get rejections. There is just no way around that. And in fact, I would say an artist who has not experienced that is just not going to be a well-rounded, healthy artist, in my opinion. If everything just came way too easy and too fast for them and everybody loved everything that they did, I don't think that they're going to be a very mature artist. They're not going to have a strong sense of resilience. So I think winning doesn't necessarily build resilience. It's really like dealing with the struggle, dealing with pain, dealing with fear, and overcoming those things that really builds that resilience. So that's why I say every day or every week, try to do something that scares you. Try to do something that you are afraid of that will subject yourself to some sort of rejection or criticism. That could be anything from posting your artwork online. You know, it can be asking for feedback from an instructor. I'm always amazed in the Art Life School, and I try to create such a safe environment and positive environment for artists to ask questions and ask for feedback inside the Art Life School. I'm always surprised at how few people participate in that or how few people submit their independent work for the monthly critique that we have. And I've heard from people like, oh my gosh, it took me like a year of being inside the Art Life School before I felt like I could submit my painting for a critique. Um, you know, it's going to slow you down as an artist if you don't do those things. And I feel like, you know, I had the benefit of being forced to do those things in art school and to have to deal with them every single week, every day. I had to deal with getting critique. Sometimes it was constructive criticism, sometimes it wasn't. Sometimes it was just like, sometimes it was not good critique either. Sometimes it was just flat out like, I think that this looks horrible. So it wasn't even like a safe environment to get critique, but every day at that school, I was subjected to, in every week and every quarter, I was subjected to criticism and rejection. And I have to tell you, I was one of those kids that got labeled as too sensitive. Anybody? I heard that all the time. You're so sensitive. You're too sensitive. Your feelings get hurt too easy, you know? And so I heard that all the time. So I was not always this resilient when it came to rejection and criticism. And I'm not going to lie and say that when I get a nasty, ugly comment now, or criticism or rejection now, that it doesn't affect me. Of course it does. Of course it does. I still feel that pang of emotion, that whatever the emotion is, anger, resentment, hurt, oh, maybe I'm not good enough, so I still will feel those things even to this day. And what I will say is I do feel them less and less because I have built up this resilience over 15 years. So because I really wanted to be a successful artist and get to a level of skill that I wanted to get to, that has built this resilience in me. And it made it worthwhile to me to deal with all of those, rejections, criticisms, not meeting up to my own vision and expectation, and accepting what I could do and what I was capable of, so all of those things built up resilience. So I hope this has been helpful to you. And I invite you to consider challenging yourself more, not giving up so easy. Feel those emotions, whatever the emotions are. Don't reject the emotions, fully process them, fully feel them, let it out of your system some way, somehow, and then get back on the horse, right? Like get back to the easel or to the wheel, whatever the case may be for you, whatever you create, to the piano, to the piece of paper and pen to write your book, perhaps, whatever it is for you, like get back to it. Because the more that you quit, you keep stopping, because you don't have enough resilience to deal with those disappointments and those struggles. You keep stopping, you're making it worse. Like you're prolonging the amount of time it's going to take you to get to a place that you really feel good about what you're creating. You really do feel happier about what you're creating. Now, obviously, at the end of the day, I think the secret, if you want it's not a quick hack, but basically what it comes down to is self-love. It's always a choice between love and fear. Am I going to give in to fear and ego, or am I going to love myself through this? Am I going to nurture myself through this, accept myself through this? I wrote a whole book on this, Art Your Way Through Life. Accept yourself first, reject rejection, and trailblaze forward. I wrote that book because I lived this day in, day out for many years. So if you're interested in that book, go check it out. It's on Amazon. And I even have a whole challenge that it's like a 21-day challenge that you can go through too, where I do videos that walk you through the specific exercises to heal yourself internally as an artist, to love yourself, and to build, help build that resilience. So, all right, artists, I want the best for you. I want you. I'm going to get choked up. Sorry. I know what it's like to get to the other side and be happy with your life and what you're creating. And so I want that for you. And that's why I do things like this. That's why I do this podcast. That's why I write the books that I write. Because I want that for you. I want the best for you as an artist. And because we need your art, and we need you at your best self and thriving artistically. Woo, okay. All right, everybody. Sending you all so much love. Leave me any, now I'm at a loss for words because I got very tender. So leave me any comments below that you want to leave, or reach out at info@artlifewithkelly. Wishing you happy creating, and bye for now.